guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mariah and here on my channel I post lifestyle, university and physiotherapy related content. So if you're interested in that, make sure you subscribe, turn the notification bell to all so you never miss a video. This video is obviously me prepping for placement and I'm really excited, if you can't already tell, in my tone because it's going to be my first physio related placement. And the reason I stress the fact that it's going to be my first physio related placement is because I had a 3-day nursing placement that I had to do before I went on my Easter break. And if you want to hear about how I found that, check out the review video that I'm going to put up in the link above, which will be on maybe this side of the screen or that side. It's on the screen, basically. So check out how I found those 3 days and how that went for me. Yes, so about, let's say 3 weeks ago now, I found out where I'm going for my physio placement. I'm obviously not going to share with you the hospital I'm going to, but it's going to be in about 2 weeks. I'll be at the hospital for 4 weeks and I'm going to be in orthopedic trauma. If you follow my Instagram on @terere.yt, you already know that I found out where I'm going for my placement and you already know that I'm doing OT, etc. But you guys on this, on YouTube that don't follow me on Instagram don't know that, so follow me on Instagram. Anyway, so today my main thing I've got to do is start the actual learning, pre-learning they've told me that I have to do, because I've done the pre-steps in terms of the first thing I did when I found out where I was going is I contacted them and let them know, hey, I work in the week. So they're like aware of that, because I think basically the sooner you let them know, the better, because then obviously when it comes to making the rota, they're aware that you can't do certain days. So that's the first thing I did, emailed them, was like, hey, great to see them allocated with you guys, can't wait, just letting you know I work twice a week. And obviously it wasn't kind of like I work twice a week, I only work on the weekends kind of thing. It was like I work twice a week, I typically work on the weekends, but if need be, I can do 2 consecutive days in the week, as long as we manage to manage it out to like where we can be pretty flexible about the whole situation. And they were great and lovely and understanding. So what they did is they sent me 2 documents. One of the documents is basically like a handbook of all the things that I have to like abide by, the rules and information about the hospital, how big it is, etc. and all the different departments in the hospital that I could be doing placement in. Obviously, I'm in orthopedic trauma, specifically frailty, so that's going to be very interesting. The moment I heard frailty and orthopedic trauma, I was like, ooh, hip replacements. And yes, I was right. I find hip replacements very interesting, and I have like family members that have hip replacements, so it's like close to home and very interesting for me personally, and I hope I get to see an x-ray or like maybe a little surgery or something. But yeah, so I'm excited for all of that. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to bring up my notes of the revision I have to do, and we're going to crack on with that. Other than that, I just have to maybe iron out my uniform because I already have it all placed out, but I don't think I've ironed it. But maybe I'm an eager beaver because it's 2 weeks before. Do I really need to iron it out now? No, not really, to be fair. But just to show you how prepared I am for the placement stuff, I'll show you my little placement bag. Okay, minus my head being cut off, here is my little Arsenal duffel bag. And placement, I get to wear trainers as a physio. And I've got black trainers laced up, nice and cute. Got them on Amazon. You can wipe them, which is perfect. I was gonna get cloth ones like most people have, but I was like, hey, if something spills on your shirt, your shoe, or like get blood, liquid or whatever, I mean, even though I'm a physio, you never know. Wipeable. Amazon, dirt cheap, considering it's Puma. And then, another requirement they wanted of me was to order some COVID tests, because while I'm on my 4-week placement, they require that I do a COVID test twice a week. So I ordered some. When you're doing placement in the NHS, or working in the NHS, you get your tests for free, so you don't have to pay for them, and they came in a timely fashion. They said they'll be about 3 days. Honestly, they came next day delivery. Got my little name badge, which I'm not gonna show you. Other than, I mean, I could show you, but I don't want my full name either. But like, got your little name badge. It's like magnetic, and I'll stick that onto my tunic. Little locker padlock for my rucksack. Because you have to bring your own padlock, but I do have a big padlock that will go on my locker in placement, because they said bring your own padlock. So yeah, that's also one thing that's important. Ask them what to bring, but I didn't have to ask them because they gave me that little document that would basically tell me everything that I needed. And for this placement, I have to wear my tunic clinical uniform. So we've got our, the tunic's open right now, but it just says University of Birmingham on the tunic, and this does need ironing, but I'll probably iron it the week before. So next week I'll iron it out. So I have 3 tunics, and this one's still in the packaging because I didn't wear this one during my 3-day placement. And then I have navy trousers to go with it. So I'm just going to keep all of this in here. For the purpose of this placement, obviously for infection control, we're not allowed to arrive in our clinical uniform. You get dressed there. So I don't know whether I will keep this clinical bag in my boot or whatever, but I will figure that out closer to the time of what I'm going to wear to placement and what bag am I going to take to change and stuff. So that's my clinical uniform and the clinical gear I have. Another good thing to have for placement is obviously like a little notebook so you can make notes as you go along. I've ordered one on Amazon. It should be coming home, like going to my house in a few days. So I will take that along. As I was saying, I ordered a little notebook. I'll take that along with me. Another thing that's also good to take along with you for placement, especially if you're in an area you're not very strong in, is this little pocketbook. I don't necessarily know if it will fit in my trouser pocket, but hey, I'm taking it to placement with me anyway. It's like a really good book that you get when you join the CSP. It's like really cute. That's definitely going to come with me, and I'll throw that into my placement bag as well. But I think I've done the main stuff that I need to get done, and now to bring up that document to let you know all the stuff I have to cover before going on to this placement. Obviously, I'm not going to probably do a prep video for every single placement I get into, but there will be reviews. So you will have to keep an eye and subscribe, and obviously turn notification bell to all so you're aware when I post the reviews. But let's get on to the content that I need to go over before I start my placement. Right, so I've gotten my laptop open. I've got my laptop open now and I'm looking at the document she sent me. So what happened was when I found out where I was going, I emailed my placement provider because I didn't have my placement educator's email at the point in time. So the placement provider obviously gave me the information and said, go through this information before you email your placement educator, because I think quite a few people just email the educator all these questions that they could easily get answered by looking at the document given. So in this document that they've given me, I won't turn the camera around, the laptop around and show you because it's got loads of people's personal details. But in here, it gives me the educator's name, their location in the hospital, my working hours, and how many days I'll be on. So this placement is 9 to 5, like not 9 to 5 necessarily, but like, let's say 9 to 5, vaguely. It's basically 9 to 5. 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. So basically during those 4 weeks, because as I mentioned earlier, I work twice a week. I'll be doing 7-day weeks for the 4 weeks. So 28 days, and then the same thing when I'm on my 6-week placement. But anyway, we shall move on, and you will get your videos, even though I know I've obviously taken a month off, but hey, exams came first. But yeah, so they tell me information about like traveling in, about like parking, whether it's free, whether it's not free, how much I'll have to pay, etc. Pre-placement reading. So now I have to do some news training, and I have to pay for that. So because I don't have an NHS email address, it's going to cost me £5, which I'm going to sort out later, not at this moment, because I do want to go into campus and focus on my cardio revision for next week. But I will get that news training done at some point next week before I have to go on a placement. But they said I basically have to familiarise myself with a total hip replacement, total knee replacement surgeries. So I think that's very interesting. Honestly, I can't wait to watch some videos. That's what I'm going to do. Look at some videos on those two and maybe get some images so I know roughly what to expect. And then read about fractured neck of the femur and possible interventions for this, along with physiotherapy involvement in orthopedic patients. So it's quite a bit to cover there. So yeah, it's going to be a long one. So I'm going to get on with it. But other than that, in this document, just so I can fill you into what you might expect, in this document you also get about what you have to wear for uniform. So in here it says like wear your own clothes to and from work, but then you have to wear your clinical uniform, hair tied back, no necklaces, etc. Identity badge must be worn at all times, things like that. Where do I go on my first day? It tells you about like lunch, staff room, etc. Like what's available around there are little shops. Every hospital has them, overpriced WH Smiths. So like it lets you know about that, canteens, and where you can store your food throughout the day, like and lockers, etc. The procedure of when you're sick. Obviously, you don't want to ideally miss any days of placement, but if it comes to it, it comes to it, and it tells you about the procedure of what you can do there, and then anything else you could know. Yeah, so like here, for example, because I'm doing an orthopedic trauma placement, it says you may be based on an elective orthopedic ward and trauma, or a combination of the two. So like, even though it says orthopedic trauma, I could be more on orthopedic, I could be more on trauma side. I would love to be more on the trauma side, I'm not gonna lie, like, something about the trauma, it just, I don't know, I can't explain it. Something about traumas and people like slipping, breaking hips, I'm like, oh, beauts. But yeah, it really just depends, but that's what that document covers, and now it's time that I actually get on with some of the prep. So I kind of pre-started a little document, just Word document. I haven't put anything in it, it's literally just, well, I haven't really put anything in it. It's just that I've written the names of the thing. Okay, let me close that little bit there. I've just written like CE1 placement, because I think I'm going to use this placement prep document for all my other placements, because you never know when content overlaps, so yeah. So I've got total hip replacement surgery, total knee, hip fractures of the head, femur, physiotherapy interventions in orthopedic placement. So let's get some writing. I've been procrastinating the writing, I swear. Okay, so in terms of prep, I've added a little bit more. I've got a few documents open, which I'll cover later, but right now I need to rush off because I promised my friends that I would go in and study with them for cardiorespiratory, which is next week, and I don't want to hold back on my promise. So, but what I'm covering in this, because most of the surgeries are related around the hip area, I'm looking at hip anatomy. I'm also going to cover knee anatomy, so that includes like the bones, the ligaments, and the joints within that area. Just so I'm like mindful of that. I'm also going to cover, I should add now, muscles to that as well. So like muscles within the area. Let's go around the hip, so that I bear that in mind as well, because like just in case they ask me any questions, I'm not really like, if you don't really use it, you lose it, you know what I mean? And so I haven't really been using this kind of information in a while, and I don't want to get to my placement obviously and look like I'm incompetent because I don't know the basics. So I'm covering that, and as you saw before, I found images of the surgeries, procedures, and how to go about them. But like the questions I'm asking myself is like, as I said, hip anatomy, and then you've got knee anatomy, which I need to put in here. Okay, so you got knee anatomy, so that will involve the bones, got bones, joints, ligaments, and the muscles. And if you're wondering, this document, it's more for myself. I'm not taking this document to placement with me. I mean, I'm probably going to either bring my laptop or my iPad to placement with me, just so I can have my notes on hand if I need be, or if I'm having like a lunch break and I want to cover over something. It's just helpful in that sense, to have that with you. Obviously, like most placements will advise you don't bring your big devices, but it's just nice to have it on hand, because obviously you're not really gonna be able to use your phone and stuff. And then even when I get that little notebook, I don't want to write all of this information in the little notebook. I want that to be more of a place where I can write things during placement that pop up that I'm unaware of. So that, and then I've also, as well as having the images, I've written a description of how the surgery occurs. So like for the hip, total hip replacement, I've written that the head of the femur is replaced with a prosthetic head, and the acetabular is lined with a bowl-shaped synthetic joint. That's for a total hip replacement. For a partial hip replacement, they will just replace the neck of the femur and that part of things. I've also got like what causes the need for a hip replacement, so end stage OA, etc., etc. How long did the surgery take? That probably doesn't impact me as a physio. It's just something extra that I want to know. How long the surgery takes, what muscles are cut through, but that I'm kind of responding to that when I go through muscles anyway, so I don't really need to have that there. What's a physio's role in terms of like early mobilization, teaching the person how to walk again with their new hip or their new knee, etc., and physio interventions that may be involved with that, like walking aids, etc. Let me just add that to that. Walking aids, stretches, exercises, like what type of exercises, are there any protocols out there? How long does the rehabilitation process take? Like how many weeks, how many months, etc. I'm going to cover that for each of those. Yeah, and then I'm going to do my news training. But that's basically how I plan on prepping for placements. I don't want to keep you guys any longer, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video, seeing how I'm prepping for my first physio placement. And yeah, I hope to see you guys soon, and enjoy your day and keep an eye out for my reviews. Bye guys!